How to set your white balance if you have a Sony AX700, and probably a lot of other Sony camcorders will work the same way. First thing to do is make sure your camera is set to manual. You probably already did that. The next thing you may want to do is go ahead and set up your exposure. That's what I like to do. So the last thing I do is set up my white balance. There are 6 buttons on the AX700 that can be programmed to do a variety of different things. What we're going to do for this is make one of those buttons into a white balance set button, and that's going to make everything go a lot faster. So what you need to do right now is decide which one of those 6 buttons you want to be your white balance button, or your magic button, as I like to call it. The button I chose was button number 6, and the reason for that is that it obviously has no writing on it and seems like it's not assigned to anything important, and I kind of like the way the other ones are set up. So regardless, you pick the one you want to be your white button. So what you'll do to set up your button is to press the menu button and go down to the little icon that looks like a filing cabinet. Go over into that menu, it says Other, and scroll down to where it says Assign Button. Press Enter right there. That's going to give you a big list of the 6 possible buttons that you can use. So you'll scroll down to the button that you want to use and press Enter. That's going to open up another menu, and it's going to give you a whole bunch of choices of what you want that button to do. So what you need to do is scroll down through that list till you see the one that says WB Set. Press Enter right there. Then press the menu button to get out, and you have set up your button. Now anytime you use this button that you've set up, you're going to go into the white balance menu. To do that, you press the WB button on the side of the camera. That's going to bring up the icons in the bottom right hand corner of the viewfinder, and you'll scroll through those either using the joystick or the little roller thing on the front of the camera. So you roll through those and you're going to see A, B, and another one that's called Preset. The one that you want to use is either going to be A or B for this process. Another thing to notice is that when you actually set your white balance, the number that the camera comes up with is going to appear in that bottom right hand corner just for a few seconds, and then it's going to go away forever. So if you want to find out what that number is, pay attention when you press the button, because it's going to be gone. And then after that's finished, you'll press the WB button on the side of the camera again to get out of the white balance menu. You're going to want to pick something white that you can use to let your camera select its white balance for reference. You can either have your subject hold up a piece of paper or a white balance board or whatever it is you have, or you can set it up on a tripod or something like I did. This is mine that I set up just for this video. It's a white piece of paper and it's stapled to a cardboard box that's flat and mounted on a tripod. Have your subject hold up your white balance board or mount it in front of the camera, whichever. Then zoom in until the white of the white balance board fills your viewfinder. At that point, press the WB button on the side of the camera, then press the button that you set up for your white balance button. And of course, pay attention to the little number that flashes up there. Then you can press your WB button on the side of the camera again and get out. So you're finished. You've set up your white balance at that point. You can film. As an example, I wanted to film Lonesome George, who's a goose that hangs around our front yard this time of year. So I set up the camera outdoors where I was going to film George, and I stood up my white balance board in front of it, zoomed in until the white was filling the whole screen. Then I pressed the WB button on the side of the camera. Then I pressed my white balance button that I had set up. Then I pressed the WB button on the side of the camera again to get back out. And everything was set up. And then I filmed George. Here's another example. I wanted to film some fire in slow motion to see what this camera can do. So I set up the camera where I'm going to film the fire. Then I put the white balance board in front of it, zoomed in till it filled the screen, pressed my WB button on the side. Then I pressed my white balance button that I set up. Then I pressed the WB button on the side again. And then I filmed the fire, and it was marvelous. Now to set white balance with the menu, which is kind of a royal pain in the ass, you'll first press the WB button on the side of the camera, then you'll press the menu button and go into the little menu that's got the camera next to it. It says camera settings at the top. Scroll into that, scroll down to where it says WB set, press enter. Everything disappears out of the viewfinder, but you still need to press enter one more time. When you do, you'll see that it flashes up the number that it comes up with. Then you can press WB to get back out, and you've set your white balance. Press the menu button and go over into the little camera settings and scroll down to the choice that says WB preset. Press enter. That's going to bring you up 3 choices. One will be indoor, the other one will be outdoor, and the other one's going to be to set in your white balance number, WB menu preset or something like that. So select that one and press enter. Then press the menu button to get out. Press the WB button on the side of the camera, then scroll through A, B, or preset. You want to leave the thing on preset, and at this point it should look like a number, like a 6500K or something like that. Leave it on that one, and then press the WB button on the side of the camera again so that you can stay in there. So what you've done is you've set the camera to preset. Now to actually set that number in directly, you'll press the menu button and go into the little camera setup menu and scroll down until you get to WB temp set. Press enter. That's going to give you a little field, and your joystick can scroll up and down until you find the temperature that you want to set in. When you do, press enter, then press the menu button again to get out, and you've set up your white balance manually. So notice when you press your button, when it's figuring out what white balance to use, it's going to display it in the bottom right hand corner of your viewfinder just for a few seconds, and then it will go away. So pay attention to what that number is, because you may want to kind of develop a feel for what the different white balance temperatures are, so that if you ever find yourself needing to put in a temperature and you have no way to reference it, nothing white to shoot at or any idea, you can roll the dice and make an estimation, but it'll be an educated guess. Probably the best way to get the number, if you're going to put in your own numbers, is to buy a color temperature meter. To get a decent one, you're going to spend $300 or more. I think if you can afford it, it's probably going to be well worth your while to do that. That's what I plan to do. Anyway, if you've learned how to set your white balance using this video, please press like. Please press like. Thank you. You can look at charts on the internet. Frog.